Lynn, welcome back to the Jefferson Exchange.
Oh, nice to be here.
So before we get into some of the more specific gardening topics, I wanted to tell a little story because I've joked often that I can be so stubborn about trying to find things out my own way. I'm not super great at listening to gardening advice, but I really did take the advice this time and go all out in weeding one of my garden beds, the one that the strawberries have more or less taken over. And I have to say that it was really interesting on a couple of levels. One of them is it's so zen. You can just forget about anything else going on in the world while you're digging out every last root of every last bit of grass that's in there. But the science part was really interesting too, because the whole interrelationship of stuff in the soil underneath us, and looking how the grass roots get wrapped around the strawberry roots and runners and all that stuff. There is a whole ecosystem. Gee, you've been telling us that too, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So lots of life going on in the soil. I mean, we're not aware of it because we're walking around on it, but it's a whole other ecosystem down there. Yeah.
It really is. So that gets us into the topic we've talked about a couple times before, which is the general stance of the Master Gardener program here, and I guess in a lot of places is don't bring out the rototiller, don't turn the garden upside down. Why?
Right. Well, because the biosphere that's living in the soil lives in different layers and different levels, right? There are organisms that live right at the surface under the leaf litter and are decomposing that. Then as you go down, there are fungi and microorganisms that need to be in that first few inches of soil where it's, warmer in the summer, colder in the winter. And then further down than that are some other kinds of fungi, bacteria, protists, and small arthropods that are living in the layers further down. And they're adapted to those areas in the soil, right? The large earthworms that you sometimes see come out because of rain, they're really used to being down deep in the soil. And so when you turn the soil and you move all those from down low up into the top, you kill them off. So and the ones that are on the surface or near the surface, when you turn them down underneath and put them in an anaerobic situation, where there's not as much oxygen, they die. So you're basically killing off the life in your soil every time you rototill. And then there are some mechanical problems with rototilling.
Oh, okay. But
the blades of the rototiller only go a certain depth, and when you rototill over and over and over in the same place, what you are doing is slicing through the earth and basically smearing the clay so that you make a hard pan there at that level, say 12 inch. Say your blade goes down 8 or 12 inches. Then you've got like an impervious layer there that's shut off to water flow, oxygen, root growth, everything. So there are mechanical reasons, but there's also the biotic reason not to rototill.
Yeah, I definitely felt like a guest when I was in there weeding, and it's like, oh, you guys have a lot of things going on here I don't know much about.
Oh, hi guys. Yeah. Yeah. What's all this white stuff? Oh, that's the mycelium. That's, interacting with the roots of the plants, helping the plants take up nutrients, and they're sharing sugars and nutrients. And, when you pull plants out by the roots, you're disrupting those mycelial threads that are, connecting everything down in the soil. So, yeah, it's, yeah.
This is Garden for Life on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Jeffrey Riley with Lynn Kunstman, Jackson County Master Gardener extraordinaire. And, of course, it is May Day, so here we are. We're in the month when we can really kind of get crazy about planting the stuff we're going to plant. But, again, in the Rogue Valley and the higher elevations, we're talking about May Day or beyond as usually the frost-free time, right?
Right. So, well, actually, some of the higher elevations, like above the valley floor, a little bit up the hillsides, you can get away with planting earlier than you can down in the lower places where the cold air drains, right?
Right.
Right. And as a general rule, we tell people wait until Mother's Day. Then the soil is going to be probably at the 50-degree mark, which is what your summer vegetables want.
Mm-hmm.
And, air temperatures are going to be probably in the 70s, which the vegetation wants. And hopefully, we've had some cold Mays recently,
Yeah.
but as a general rule. And basically, we have had frost later than Mother's Day. A few years, every once in a while we have one of those. But in general, by Mother's Day, you're pretty certain that you are not going to encounter a frost that's going to kill the tops of your plants.
We did have a freeze warning in April, and I actually looked up a little more carefully to see if it was going to cause whether I needed to do something to protect our apple tree, for example. And the indications I saw were that it really needs to get down below 30 to start really causing some damage.
Right. For the fruit trees, they have a little more sugar concentration in them at this time of year because they've been blooming and putting on growth and putting on fruit, so the sugars are moving up. So those tissues are a little more robust and able to fend off those kind of cooler temperatures. But it's why in the orchards they run the windmills or the sprayers, the sprinklers when there are freeze warnings, because if you do that, if you keep the air circulating or you keep the water running on the fruit, the frost, when the dew settles and the frost starts to form, the water on the fruit from the sprinklers is going to absorb. It's going to cool down and protect the fruit. Rather than the fruit freezing, the water freezes, or the wind keeps the air circulating so much that the frost can't actually settle. It can't, it's moved through the orchard and away, the moisture. So, it's dicey. But if you're growing things like, I know my fig tree took a little bit of a hit on its outer leaves, with that last 30-degree night we had. Because it's leafed out.
Right, yeah, mine too.
But it's fine. It will grow more leaves, and so usually things can rebound unless we get like a massively, hard freeze, which this time of year is probably not going to happen. But it's always a possibility.
Right. That is good to know, though, because the fig that I got from you actually had leafed out, and then there was nothing after that freeze, and so I was thinking, is this the end of it? And it sounds like you're saying there's a chance for a recovery.
Oh no, and the thing about figs the figs that we grow in this valley, I've seen large trees die back to the ground in a like single digit situation. And then everybody thinks the tree is dead. They go and they cut the dead part off, and then they get this huge regrowth from the roots because the roots are down in the soil where it's not that cold, and figs they regenerate from their root systems. They're kind of a thicket-forming creature. Unless you're keeping them as a tree, they'll send up stuff from their roots. You got to cut those off. But so even a fig tree that looks like it has died will regenerate.
Oh, good. So, that is good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've neglected to mention twice now in our conversation here about the fact that this is not only the first weekend of May, but it's the weekend of the Jackson County Master Garden Association Spring Garden Fair. So this is at the Expo Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 4, Saturday, 9 to 2 on Sunday. Don't show up after 2 like I did last year. But what kinds of things can people see out there?
Well, we've got lots of vendors. So we've got people selling gardenware, tools and that kind of stuff. We've got other vendors who are selling vegetables and flowers, citrus trees, all kinds of different nursery products. I think there are going to be a couple of food carts there, and then Master Gardeners, of course. Our students have grown tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, herbs, flowers, and then we have the native nursery. We'll bring most of the plants from the native nursery out to that booth as well. So we have a lot of stuff. I did an inventory of just what we had in part of our two greenhouses, and we had over 3,500 plants.
Wow.
So then we have to move out there. We're not done with the inventory yet. That doesn't count the native nursery. That's just the annual things, the vegetables and herbs and flowers that the students have grown, and I don't have a final count on those because we don't have those ready to count yet.
Okay, we'll mention Spring Garden Fair again at the end. This is Garden for Life on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Jeffrey Riley with Master Gardener Extraordinaire Lynn Kunstman. Let's talk about technique in the 4 minutes or so we have left, because obviously people are going to do stuff like buy pepper plants and tomato plants and put them into their gardens. And for people who've never done this before, what are some of the real basic steps?
Well, you want to, if you're going to be putting in peppers or eggplants, or you want to dig a hole that will hold the root ball, you can add some compost and some, organic fertilizer to that hole. Don't add something that's high in nitrogen to peppers or eggplants, because you want them to fruit. Nitrogen is going to push vegetative growth. Same with tomatoes. So you don't want a lot of, green stuff going on. You want them setting fruit. So bone meal is some good stuff to add. Tomatoes, oftentimes if you get a tall tomato, you want to make a trench in the soil and bury it along the stem, so that the stem is going to make roots along that upper 4 inches of soil where it's warm, and then go down. So you've increased your stem. We'll have a demonstration of this at the fair.
But you're basically laying the tomato plant sideways a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, you're laying it sideways. Yeah. And I go out and put my tomatoes while they're in their pots. I lay them down in the garden like the day before I plant them, and the tip turns up, and then I make a trench and I lay the stem and the root ball down, and then the tip is sticking out. And make sure you stake them or cage them while you can still see the stem. You don't want to drive a stake through that long stem.
Right.
So, but there'll be a demo at the fair for people to look at to see how to do that. But it does get your roots growing in the warmer soil first, and then they can get down, and you've got more root mass.
Okay, Lynn, I noticed there are a couple things that I have grown where they say, make a mound or make a hill. Why do some vegetables require that?
So squash, particularly cucumbers, squash, melons, all want to be in a hill, and I'm not sure why they like it like that. I think it's because the hill will drain a little better, and they like to be up high, and that also provides a warm place, right? If you've got a mound of soil that's in the sun, that's warmer, and melons really like warm soil. So any of those squash, melon guys, they want really warm soil. And so it's really important to build, a 3 to 4 foot mound with nice rich compost and good amendments. Plant your seeds directly and let them come up. Put more seeds in than you think you need, and then thin them to a few, maybe 4 to 5 vines per hill. But yeah, they really like a rich, lifted soil.
So should you get it from elsewhere in your garden? I mean, just put from one end to the other? Because we were talking about the layers before, the importance there. So
yeah, you could use I use compost. I just make the mound out of compost from my compost pile, and they grow in that, right? And then of course their roots get down into the regular soil. It's because the hill is only a few inches higher than the bed. So they're accessing all the nutrients down in the regular soil too, but they like having a nice rich thing. They grow the best from your compost pile. You can get really good pumpkins growing out of your compost pile. They really like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I can hear the mistakes from past years. I had total pumpkin failure last year. And I think it's because I didn't have any particular compost in there, and plus I've been using garbage soil up until last fall, so that different story there. Right. Okay, so just a couple seconds left. Master Gardener Spring Fair, Jackson County Master Gardeners put this on at the Expo in Central Point tomorrow, Saturday 9 to 4, Sunday 9 to 2, and you'll be out there, yes?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
All day, both days.
Right. Always good to have you here for Garden for Life. This is another segment of Garden for Life. Lynn Kunstman joins us once a month. I'm Jeffrey Riley. Lynn, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And thanks for listening.